All right, hello, Mr. Delcor, could you give some sort of signal?
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Yeah. Good story. All went through. Yeah, that's a big way. This is always the longest 60 seconds.
The longest 60 seconds. All right, it is 7:00 p.m. and I call this Perry City Council meeting to order on Tuesday, September 13th at 7 p.m. City Councilor present tonight in person. We have Councilor Ewing, Councilor Stockwell, and Councilor Lozon. Joining us remotely, we have Councilor Shawndell. Staff present with us tonight include City Manager Cheryl Castro, Treasurer Dawes, Chief Brent, Deputy Chief Altsworth, and Chief Phil. If I missed anybody, definitely let me know. Tonight's agenda is available online in the back room. The meeting has been publicly posted, is being recorded and broadcast, and subject to Vermont's open meeting law and the council's rules of procedure, which are available online. I'd like to offer a warm welcome to guests here tonight, joining us in person and online. And if you're joining us online, please keep in mind that the chat function should only be used for technical issues or difficulty. The city offers online access to convenience, and we will continue the meeting if any technical difficulties occur. If you would like to be recognized, please raise your hand or signal that you would like to be recognized. And for those in the room, I'll ask you to come forward to the front table. I'll call on speakers in order, allowing those who haven't spoken to speak first and limiting time if necessary to do the city's business. Please state your name for the record and speak into the microphone so council can hear you. I want to thank everyone in advance for participating in a civil and respectful manner. And if you have any questions about the process procedure, please ask, and we will get this sorted. And that takes us to adjustments to the agenda. And you're Mr. Castro.
No adjustments, Mayor.
City councilors. Councilor Vera.
I'm not sure where we should be adding this, but I'd like to talk about the recent events with our diversity and equity.
Okay. With that, are you asking that?
So I'm not sure if we need
Matter
to
of-
add that.
I missed last week and I understood there may have been some discussion in executive session. Personnel, is that where you're asking this to be put?
So I'm not sure if that's where we need to discuss this, or if it's something that is discussed in public.
Anybody with context from last week want to make a recommendation as to the best?
I would prefer,
I think if we're going to discuss it, that we should forewarn it so that the diversity equity committee can be here. Answering questions and comments rather than to discuss it without their presence.
that'll give me time to send the emails to everybody that I got tonight.
So would you like to make a motion, Councilor Jeremy, to put it on the agenda?
I would like to make a motion
Is there a second?
This week, sir?
this week or the next week.
Yeah, I mean, listening to what Councilor Stockwell said, you know, I think it would be a more productive discussion
Sure.
if it was warned 1 week in advance, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
willing to ratify that.
So if you would like to make that motion, I don't know that you necessarily need a motion.
No,
The mayor and the manager can certainly do
Yeah,
that.
I just think that after we kind of discussed it and had talked through email, and one-line emails, that we needed to discuss it. And I kind of thought that personnel, under number 12 was gonna be that discussion. So if that's not the discussion, then I feel like we need to make sure that we have that discussion scheduled. Because I know that I've gotten a lot of, calls and emails, regarding this situation that's going on. And people would like some answers as to what our committees are doing. So I know that we need to address this and it needs to be done relatively quickly.
Okay, so maybe there will be an element of that in personnel under item 12, and we'll have it as an agenda item next week. If there are no objections, but okay, all right. As Kristen will do that. That takes us to, unless there are any other adjustments to the agenda, that would take us to visitors and communication. Hearing and seeing none under visitors and communication. Oh, yeah, Vernon. Yeah.
Hi.
Hello, I'm sorry. Hi, this is Rosemary.
Rosemary, if you can, I'll recognize you next and we'll start.
Oh,
with,
okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. For some reason, my prompts aren't coming up, so I apologize.
Hi, Rosemary. Thank you. My name is Bernadette Rose. I live on Allen Street in Barrie. I'd just like to acknowledge that we're meeting on the unceded lands of the Abenaki people and encourage our residents to contribute to the helping neighbor funds that the different Abenaki tribes, the 4 established state recognized tribes in Vermont have, as an action to be taken personally in support of the more impoverished people, which the tribes are trying to help sustain themselves. And secondly, there's going to be something later on, but I wanted to personally thank all of the people who've been receiving emails for the city under public notice. You're doing a great job. Thank you. It's been terrific. As the chair of the ADA committee, I've been in touch with people and I don't know who it is until I get the message back. But the coverage of that email address has been terrific, and I greatly appreciate the way the city has and all the employees have worked together to make that possible. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. I just want to give names to those people who are doing all that work. One of them are clerk, Carol,
Yes.
Janet, and Rick. So just give names to the folks behind that email that are doing that great work.
Thank you for saying that.
Thank you. Rosemary Apple.
Hi, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. A couple of things, if I may. First of all, just a quick shout out to Jeff Bergeron and the team at the cemeteries. I walk Elmwood frequently, and my husband rides through Hope on occasion, and they've really been looking great. So I want to thank them for their attention to that. They really look great. The second thing is, I'm wondering where we are on the ARPA funds. canvassing residents about it for ideas. Seemed like it was a few months ago that we talked about this.
I'm happy to give an update. I'm engaging with an entity that can help us survey the community, collect proposals from the community, conduct a public forum where we can receive input from the community and roll that up into a report for the council to consider. So I know, yes, we're a little bit behind schedule on that. My plan is to have I'm going to plan to present this to the council next week, actually, so it's good preview. My goal would be for that process to travel side by side with our FY24 budget process. So coming to some sort of proposal late December, mid-January.
Great, no criticism. I didn't mean to come across as criticism. I was just curious about an update, wanting to make sure I hadn't missed it. You know me, I don't criticize very much. Anyway, thank you very much. And welcome to the city, by the way. Nice to have you on board. And since the topic of Diversity and Equity Committee is going to be addressed, I'd like to add my comments about it, if I may, at this time. Regarding the occurrence at that committee meeting a couple of weeks ago, I'm not aware that the city has really addressed it at all, other than what you just said. It's perhaps you had some discussion in the last week or two. So tonight, I'm asking for me and many people that I know who are concerned, what is the city's position on this? Having details of the meeting and the actions aired so publicly over the last few weeks, to say this is concerning is an understatement. And the fact that the chair and two members of that committee are clear that they are completely intolerant of diversity of thought, opinions, beliefs is outrageous and really shouldn't be tolerated. I don't think we would with any other committee, or especially in this regard. The fact that the chair also asked Mr. Toborg to resign and that he was going to be muted at future meetings is just totally unacceptable, in my opinion. I don't know how you, the council, feels since the committee does in fact report to you, but that just is completely outrageous in my eyes. The fact is, Barry's Diversity and Equity Committee really isn't at all representative of what that's supposed to mean. And to be honest, it's almost like a joke now that this has come out. There's been nothing done about it. And I understand, Mr. Mayor, you were away, but I hope the council seriously considers the damage that's been done by some of these members. I can't imagine anybody could see a path forward for this group, knowing, especially the existing members, knowing what each, or at least what some are expecting and will allow. I mean, I don't know how they effectively work together going forward. If you can figure that out, God bless you. The hypocrisy is glaring. It really is. And it's important that the council considers this impact this has had to the committee's effectiveness and legitimacy, frankly. I know it's tough, but you're going to have to figure it out. And it's really going to be tough to overcome, in my opinion. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for your testimony. Are there any other items for visitors and communication? Mr. Whitaker.
Stephen Whitaker for the record. You may recall I came before you weeks ago. A lot of folks, the mayor wasn't here, a lot of folks claim to be unaware of this records request that's been not honored nor responded to in accordance with law since April. And I resent communications that I had sent after the appeal to the head of the agency, after a request for the administrative processing, because I believe that this is intentional, that this is certain officials tolerating the violation of law and trying to stall or sweep it under the rug. The purpose of public records law is to hold decisions accountable and actually prepare citizens to advise folks before you're making a decision tonight on consoles. My having been denied access to these records, today was the first meeting of a group reviewing a $3.5 million project that the city has been involved in. Those records have been hidden from me by this request dating back to April. The economics of changing dispatch. There's a real dishonest, disingenuous representation that Berry City with 3 consoles is going to be able to handle in an emergency situation the full load of 30 or 40 towns that Montpelier currently dispatches on top of their current duties. That is absolutely sheer fallacy. And to have heard both your and Montpelier's officials misrepresent these details to the legislature and misrepresent to yourselves. And then last time I was here, you asked me to forward the information to your manager. Crickets, crickets. Like, do you really want to consider yourselves outlaws? I mean, there's a 3-day turnaround in unusual circumstances, a 10 business day turnaround for public records requests. How many months has this been going on? And now you're making decisions tonight. It flies in the face of transparency and accountability and proper governance.
Hi, Mr. Whitaker. So we did respond to, I believe, at least 2 of your requests this week, which I personally sent over. And
This has nothing to do with the April request.
I'm getting to that one. So that was my next comment. As to your April request, I did respond to you to say that I met with the staff and we're conducting a review of the records that exist that may be responsive. And there are provisions in state law that govern records that relate to public safety, critical infrastructure safety, proprietary information. And as to public safety, I'm not going to take any chances. And so I'm going to review any document that's responsive and make sure that it doesn't fall under those categories.
I saw you having lunch with Bill Fraser, so his lies and manipulation have already worn off on you.
Okay, let's keep it simple.
So when we're talking about spending millions of dollars of public money, to try to make an excuse for a months-old request, we're now going to try to hide records behind public safety. I mean, I'm putting this on the record, not so much because I expect, integrity out of this interchange, but because that when someone gets hurt because these systems fail as is predictable, then this will puncture the sovereign immunity. This will turn it into gross negligence. So I have no sympathy for the kind of crap that was just laid out.
Thank you for your testimony. Let's see, Laurel Mallon.
Hi, thanks for hearing me. My name is Laurel Ann Maurer, and I'm a resident of Berry City. Going back to what Rosemary Averill said, I just want to say that, I really am just an average citizen. I like to keep track of what's going on in the city, and occasionally I like to go to meetings and so forth. And I just have to say I'm really quite disturbed about this situation with the Diversity and Equity Committee. I myself am president of the Vermont Music Teachers Association, which is a small group of music teachers, independent music teachers. And in our board meetings, we don't all agree, but as president and the person who's managing the meetings, I take it upon myself to be open-minded, to listen to everyone, not to interject my own personal beliefs, especially when it's not necessary, to give everybody a chance to speak. And we have a great group and positive attitudes. And I watched some of that video with Ms. Mulvaney, and I'm really thinking that this person is not equipped to be a leader. That's not the way you lead. It was very negative and punitive. just because somebody thought different than her. And believe me, the irony of it being the Diversity and Equity Committee is not lost on me. So I really hope that the city council will take this very seriously and look at this, because to the citizens, at least to me and my husband and people I've talked to around town, this just looks really bad. Thank you for listening to me.
Great testimony. Are there any other items for visitors and communication? Hearing and seeing none, that takes us to our consent agenda. We have 4 items on the consent agenda. We have approval of the minutes of the regular city council meeting for August 30th, 2022. We have 2 city warrants: ratification of the week of September 7th, as well as approval of the week Wednesday, September 14th. There's clerk's office license and permits. Do you have any of those this week? And a request for a Spalding High School homecoming parade on September 17th.
So move.
I'll second that, but Lucas sent me an email complaining about stopping the mayor. One of them was ER in the minutes. I saw it and I was like,
That's an eagle eye.
He sent me a message. saying, "You need to say
Yes,
something."
you're Meyer Mayor.
Yeah.
Well, that
I did not notice.
Yeah, but it was Michael as acting mayor, so it clearly doesn't. I will make that correct.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And just additional follow-up on the consent agenda for September 17th, 4 p.m. Kickoff at the Civic Center. And for questions, people can contact Spalding High School science teacher Pamela Smith. So, and they're going back to traditional Spirit Week with on-site bonfire, which is kind of cool.
So we have a motion by Councilor Lozon. I don't think we have a second. Second from Councilor Booth. And any further questions on the consent agenda? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The consent agenda is adopted. I'll sign the warrants. And our girls will follow up with approval of the homecoming parade. That takes us to the city clerk and treasurer's report.
Just a few things. Oh, welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a great vacation. So
Lovely. And you own one less house, so that's a good
I
thing.
do.
All squared away.
But I'm no real estate mogul like Councilor Rosen.
So property taxes, the first quarter payment is due this coming Thursday, the 15th. So mail them in, drop them off, stop by the office, pay online. All those are options. And water and sewer bills are due by the end of the month, by the 30th. And again, you can mail them in, drop them off, stop on by, pay online. Just want to remind people of the timeline with regards to the requests for proposals and offers for 22 Hill Street. They are due by 11 a.m. This coming Thursday, the 15th. We've received one so far. I don't know whether we'll receive more, but as was approved by the council back in late June, Councilor Wozniak and Councilor Lozon and I will look them over and with an eye towards giving a report and a recommendation to council at the meeting on the 27th, so in 2 weeks. So I will, once we get to the deadline, I will scan and email everything to everybody, and then we can figure out whether we need to meet or whether we just want to talk via email or whatever. We can figure out what the right way forward is. So that's it.
Are there any questions for Clerk Treasurer Dawes? Oh, Mallory, do you have your hand up?
No, her hand is still up. I don't mean to speak for her. Hand icon.
All right, if there are no questions, that takes us to the Liquor Control Board.
No.
Okay. I did have a question if we've received anything from the Cannabis Control Board about our establishment of the local.
No.
Licenses.
Nothing yet?
Did we send that letter? We're supposed to
Yes.
notify, we did, okay, so we do have one.
Yes, we did notify the department that,
All right.
yeah.
That takes us to item 7, the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to supplement the department head report you have in your packet, just want to let you know, we have some, Council Booth, thanks for bringing this to my attention about the notification, but some work at the North Main Street wastewater pump station started September 12th, going on through will be done on the 23rd. So some repair work on US 302. It's going to include concrete roadway removal, new roadway sub-base, and final pavement. If you have any questions about those, then Bill can answer those. But there's resulting in some alternating one-way traffic and some delays at a certain bottleneck time. So
And it's been posted on the city
Yes.
website and on Front Porch Forum, so.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. A lot of work with the staff again, with Don and the department heads on the FY24 budget process. And this past week, looking to kick off that process with you on the council on the 20th, with an overview of where we think where things are looking now, and having a more citywide look at those numbers. So really looking forward to starting that conversation with you in next week's meeting. Also a lot of work this week on the capital improvement plan. As you know, we engaged Grant Pager. I've been reviewing a draft with the department heads, and something also that we're looking to come to council in early October for a look, and also to travel with our budget process. So it's been a great tool. We've been using it already, just even in its draft phase, and working with the department heads to further prioritize, come up with an achievable and ambitious plan that we can start to take some bites out of our infrastructure needs. And just one of the great things I was excited about moving to Berryville was having a city staff force that 100 people, you could know just about everyone's name. So I'm going to be doing some staff town halls with all our staff in the coming weeks. So the DPW garage will be there on Tuesday at 11 a.m. with the streets, sewer, water folks. And Civic Center staff will be September 28th at 9 a.m. and our City Hall staff also the 28th at 11 a.m. So really looking forward to, these will be one-on-ones, myself with the staff, so I can get some feedback and understand how we can better support those on the front line delivering our services. So I'm really excited about that.
Thanks for the update on that. Any questions for Mr. LaCastro?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Councilor Stockwell?
I just wonder if there's any update on Brook Street shooting.
I know Chief Vale is here. I don't know if there's anything that is. that we can
It's
share.
still under investigation. It is moving forward, and we're confident that we will have that cleared soon. We just met with the state's attorney's office and discussed the next steps in the process.
Thank you.
Councilor Lozon?
Thank you, Mayor. Just candidly, how's it going?
It's, thank you.
With the cameras.
It's really wonderful so far. I think it's really resigned myself to knowing I'm going to be learning for a long time, which is okay. Really happy to be settled in on Liberty Street. Kids are in school, kids are at soccer today. And I think I was talking with the mayor the other night, and I said, even, it's hard and a lot of work, but it's also been a lot of fun. So have a good team of people, and I've been enjoying myself, even as there's been a lot of work to tackle.
Is there anything that we could be doing better, providing you with, besides resources and staff? Is there, no, seriously, I mean, I think that's important for really open communication, so that if there's a certain area where you see something, or you see a resource or something that you're not getting, or, to effectively implement, we need to know that sooner.
Yes, and I think there will be. One of the things that I'm still learning all the processes, and I think there will be a time for change and for needs. I think that'll come after some time of a little bit more time of evaluation and getting my feet under me, because certainly the one thing I do want to do when that time comes to, when we do change things up, or when there needs to be an ask, I want to make sure that it's thought out and that I don't have to backtrack or change it, because I also don't want to create chaos. So absolutely, I think I keep thinking about what those things will be, and I think it's still part of my evaluation process as I'm getting my feet under.
And as an aside, you kept counseling, there have been a number of incidents, some serious, some not quite so serious. I just want to tell you that I appreciate you getting an email out quickly to the council. Thank you.
Any further items? Questions? All right. Hearing and seeing, thank you for that. That takes us to unfinished business, item 8, there is none. So that takes us to item 9, new business. Item 9A is the authorization of the contract for new dispatch consoles. We have Police Chief Bell here. Thank you, Chief Bell.
Good evening. At the July 19th council meeting, we had discussed radio consoles. And at that time, council agreed to move forward with the purchase of radio consoles through a finance plan and setting aside $60,000 for a projected cost of also replacing the workstations because they're aged and they're failing miserably, actually. At that time, I believe I had mentioned one of them, they had to jack up manually, and they were using reams of paper to hold up their keyboards. So you also approved going forward with issuing an RFP for the replacement of those workstations. We did receive, in response to that issuance, we did receive 4 responses. And the tabulation sheet that was in the packet, they ranged from $57,075 up to $82,000, $82,303. I'm asking that you authorize the award of the contract to Sistema, who did come in the lowest bid at $57,075. Not only was it the lowest bid, but they did have, they went above and beyond in their RFP proposal. They came out several times. They worked very diligently with us, answering all our questions, and they asked us a lot of questions, so they just went above and beyond. So I feel it based not only on their price, but also their ethic, their warranty, and their products. We award them the contract, and that would be Sistema.
Move to approve.
Second.
There's a motion to approve by Councilor Lozon, second by Councilor Stockwell. Are there any questions?
Just make sure, Mr. Manager, yes, you're good with that?
Fully on board.
Okay, good deal.
And the life cycle,
So they have different warranty periods. They have 5-year warranty periods on some of the components, 10 years on some other components. But the expected life cycle is at least 15 to 20 years on those. The current ones are 16 years that are starting to fail.
and these are offset by dispatch revenues from other
Correct.
communities as well.
Correct. It's out of the capital fund. And at that time, we projected that it would be roughly $60,000 that we had set aside out of that reserve fund for that console project.
How does this interrelate with the request of the legislature for the 3.2 million
So
for
that's-
radio equipment?
Well, that's specifically for the infrastructure piece of it. This is somewhat separate just for the communication center. However, as we're moving forward with that entire project, it does parallel.
Any further questions? We have a motion in the second. Hearing and seeing none. Councilor Deere?
So the prices with this have anything to do with the prices with Montpelier as well? So if we don't accept the contract, does that mean that Montpelier doesn't get their contract as well? I just see that both prices are listed here, both quotes, as far as Barry and Montpelier.
So the RFP was issued as a dual RFP, and specifically in the RFP, it was worded that one community could technically award somebody else a contract if they wanted to. This is specifically for Barry. And it was due for economy of scale as well.
Sure. I guess that was really my question, was just to make sure that this was specifically related for us and not.
It is specifically for.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it.
Any further questions or discussion, Councilman?
Yeah, and I just sent you the email for the packet. I want to state that because I did it during.
Thank you. All right, There are no further, if there's no further discussion, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed?
One more thing, Chief. Councilor Stockwell earlier in the meeting asked you about a shooting incident on Brook Street, and you were ways back in the audience, so I'm not aware that probably the folks listening at home couldn't hear your response.
Okay, I apologize.
No.
Let's finish this motion first.
Oh,
So we have,
sorry, I'm sorry.
So we have all those in favor. Are there any opposed? The motion is adopted. And now for the,
So we did meet with the state's attorney's office today in the next steps forward, and it is still under investigation, but we're confident it will be cleared fairly soon.
Thank you, Mayor.
that takes us to item 9B, acceptance for a grant for installation of dry hydrants. So we have Chief Deputy Chief Holdsworth here tonight. Welcome, Chief Brent. Sounds like this is a pretty good deal.
It is, and also we can call out Bill Ayers for it as well, because this is not something that we in the fire department can do, other than come up with the idea for it, because it makes a whole lot of sense. Dry hydrants is basically a pipe that's put into the river in certain locations and left there all the time. We can hook up to, just like we hook up to hydrant, but it allows us to draft water out of the river. This project is something that Joe's been following for a number of years prior to my coming back. Troy Dare, Joe and I are good friends with him. He's been in the business for a long time. He's the engineer for the state that develops these projects. And he saw fit that they saw fit that Barry should be awarded these grants. We're going to end up with 3 dry hydrant locations, one on East 2nd Street, one on Boynton Street, which would really come in handy at the fire lacrosse grant, as well as one at the water treatment facility, which helps us somewhat, but it helps the Barry Town Fire Department, who covers Orange, places near to the Orange Reservoir, the Barry Town serves as well. So they're multifaceted. We're excited to have them on board. And we have some, as Bill's pointed out to you in the past, we have some infrastructure issues with our water system. And these will be great to supplement everything that's been put into place and everything that Bill has in place to upgrade those systems. I got a feeling that something.
So moved.
There's a motion and a second to approve this one. All those in favor, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it.
Yeah, another group that came in, Mayor, we may have to vote to suspend the rules.
There's a motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
All right.
You usually tell me I'm okay to leave now.
They're carrying you out.
Oh.
Well, yeah, and so the council and Manager Strella Castro has prepared a resolution to be read tonight. It's relating to the commemoration of the retirement of Fire Chief Doug Brent, declaring September 16, 2022, Doug Brent Appreciation Day in Barre, Vermont. This is resolution 2022-09. Whereas in July 2018, Doug Brent was appointed for a second term as chief of the Barre City Fire and Emergency Medical Services Department and has served with honors as the chief. And whereas Chief Brent has been a beloved leader, bringing stability and steady stewardship of the department. And whereas throughout a 49 career as a public safety employee, he has served with distinction, not only as a chief, but as a firefighter and emergency medical technician who worked side by side with his fellow men and women whenever he was called into duty. And whereas Chief Brent has continued to improve his knowledge, skills, and certifications through lifelong learning and training, and has become a mentor to many men and women he has led. And whereas his service to our city spanned 2 separate stints, and he has described a special calling to return to Barry and finish his career in his hometown. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the undersigned members of Barry City Council, on behalf of all officials, employees, and residents of the city of Barry, do hereby declare Friday, September 16, 2022, to be Doug Brent Appreciation Day, to express to Chief Brent our most profound appreciation for his distinguished career in public service and his steadfast leadership of the Fire and Emergency Medical Services Department, and wish him the very best in his retirement. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be placed in the permanent records of the city of Barry, and a copy presented to Chief Brent by order of the City Council this 13th day of September 2022. I think we're gonna get a picture too here. So.
Thank you so much. You don't make this easy. I've enjoyed my times here in Barry. We, Renee and I, have thoroughly enjoyed our times here. And we're, as I said in my resignation letter to former manager McKenzie, I feel like one of those professional sports players who goes back to their home team and gets to work out one more day of their contract to say that they retired here. And I got 4 years to do that, and I really appreciate that. And I love the people of Barry, and I love serving here. And with this staff, I mean, it doesn't get any better. So, thank you very much.
One more.
Just really.
You guys all set with him? We'll do a picture out here.
That sounds great. And fact check one thing, is it also your birthday, September 16th?
It is.
All right.
Yes, it is. Happy birthday. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
So it's a good thing it's raining.
All right, so that brings us to upcoming business. I know. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry for that. Item 9C, discussion of extra mile nominations. We have 2 names. Who wants to lead off?
Yeah, I'll take it off. I'll take it. The city of Barry has participated in a national program called Extra Mile Day a number of times. The program honors community service, serving your neighbors in general, and it also gives communities an opportunity to recognize some specific people. We have, over the years, had a number of people we've been able to to honor, including perhaps people here in the room. And so we'd love to be able to do it again. It's November 1st every year. And what we really like is to have perhaps a couple counselors or more work together, though no more than 3, because then it's more than, it's a quorum and we've got to have minutes and stuff. But to have some counselors think about or take recommendations for people who might be honored this year. We can submit 1 to 3 names to the national organization with a brief bio, which is posted up on the Extra Mile website. And then we will have the mayor do a mayoral proclamation naming November 1st as Extra Mile Day in Barry and honoring whomever the names are that we come forward with this year. So if there's anybody interested in being part of that?
I see Councilor Deering.
I have a nomination and I would definitely love to be part of that.
I see Councilor Stockwell.
Yes.
Well, I was just raising my hand as I would post on a page.
Well, that makes, if the council has no objection to this slate of 3, is it 3 or 2?
That's fine.
3, okay.
That's fine.
That works for council,
So what I'll do is I'll send you some information. I'll send you examples of what we've had for, I'll send you the list. I'll send you what we've had for brief bios in the past. You can get sort of a flavor of what we've done in the past.
So I actually went back and did the research on this. And I just wanted to, because I worked on it, I want to tell everybody. So in 2021, we had the Barry Rotary Club. 2020, we had Barry Mutual Aid Group and the Barry Partnership. In 2019, we had Extra Mile America. And 2018, we had Barry Joint Services Club, Barry Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program. Honorable Councilor Lozon, Diane Parrott, Michael Jarvis, Matheson's Playground Committee, and that was 2018. And then in 2017, we had the Joint Services Club, Marilyn Blake, Tim Bolton, Carol Day, Gary Haas, and Deb Phillips, and Chris Havoc. And when I went back, I found that it was, you transferred it over to the mayor back in 2016, so. I thought it was really interesting. I thought it was interesting history, and I was like, oh.
Well, it dovetailed, originally it dovetailed beautifully with the Joint Service Club Community Service Recognition dinners that were done every year in the fall. And then they, starting the year or 2 before COVID, they didn't have the dinner that year. So we, the council, cast the net throughout the community. Not that there's any shortage of incredible people and organizations that are serving us. So we continue forward, which is great.
And since we were doing organizations, are we allowed to do organizations, or does it have to be individual?
Okay.
Is it competitive?
No, it's it.
Push-ups.
So we.
Now do it.
So we can put as many names as we want.
Yeah,
Based on-
you get, well, 1 to 3, you can, I mean, as Council Booton said, we've had as many as 5 or 6. So if, I certainly wouldn't want those of you who are working on it to come up with a list of 4 and feel like you had to whittle it down, so. Exactly.
Your Extra Mile is terrible.
So it's 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Is that okay? Perfect.
So we have 3, and that takes, I think that wraps it up, right? We're seeing this come back, and that takes us to item 2 on the agenda, upcoming business. We've already got a preview about the CIP in progress for Hill Street RFP, ARPA outreach, Extra Mile.
Budget.
Budget kickoff. Are there any others that are?
And ARPA was a part of the budget stuff.
Councilor Wilson? Oh,
Thank you, sir. Under Hill Street, if it's all right with the council, Carol, Councilor Wise, Zach, and myself, we're going to be reviewing the submittals. If there are 3 or less, would the council mind if we just bring all of them directly to the council? Carol's certainly welcome to participate in the open, the open discussion at a council meeting, but I think the
No, I
reason
think
we
that
had
makes
set up
perfect
that
sense.
group is we didn't know if we'd have 10, 12, and we were
Exactly.
trying to streamline it for the council, but we have 1 to date, and if we have 3 or less, I propose that we just bring all 3 to the council and have the discussion here. Instead of a recommendation from the 3 of us. Is that okay?
Sounds good.
Okay. Everybody's all right with that?
So normally when we have a contract, we have a I'm gonna be, but a little stick about this, we have a recommendation. Are we going to all, is the intention that all councilors would score against the criteria and bring their recommendations to a city council meeting? And because typically when you have a competitive procurement, there is a scoring process.
Right.
And so we don't have a committee doing that. It's the intention that the council will conduct an evaluation against the criteria for the scoring and then bring their scores to the meeting.
Yes. That was because, like I said, at the time, we didn't know if we'd have 10 or 15, and we were trying to save the council the work of scoring 10 or 15 of them. If we're 2 days before deadline and we have 1. Sometimes you do get some at the last minute. So I didn't think it would be, to suggest that it wouldn't be over burdensome. And I can't imagine that as a group, we would bring less than 3 to the council anyway.
And I'll create a score sheet that lists the criteria from the RFP. And so, councilors will have it'll be relatively straightforward for scoring.
Sounds great. You know me in process. So. All right. And any other upcoming business items? Anything else to flag, Councilor Wilson?
Thank you, Mayor. So as I was going through council meeting withdrawal over the past few weeks, I seriously, I jumped to the city webpage because I said, well, I'll see what's going on with all the committees. And so I jumped to the committee webpages, and it was, and I can fall behind, and at times we all can. But it was kind of a little disappointing to me just how far outside the law we are with regard to posting the minutes of committee meetings. Some committees had none at all. I mean, like no minutes posted for the last year. And, I'm not sure how we improve on that. I know, Mayor, it was something that stuck in your craw a little bit. But we've got to figure out, a way to improve on that. Because, again, I just want to see, well, good, this little break from the council, give me a chance to really dig into the committee meetings and see what all the committees are doing, and it was pretty difficult to do that. So maybe we put it on, a future agenda item. Maybe we simply impress upon the chairs that, that this is part of their charge. And if they can't fulfill their charge, they likely should not continue to serve as chair. And if someone from within the city isn't posting them on their behalf, well, we as a council, ultimately compliance is our responsibility, then we need to know that.
Councilor Wilson.
And just tangentially related, because this came up in the police advisory committee meeting that we had last night. The council at one point, for your tenure, Mr. Manager, requested that the committee submit charges to the, what is your committee doing? What are its responsibilities? And we approved the whole slate of them. And it occurred to the committee last night that those should be posted on the, I don't know where they are, they're probably buried in my email somewhere, or at least the police advisory committee. But this for the other committees, just also getting those posted on page 2, which says, dog park committee, okay, what do they actually do? Here's the chart. Tangentially related.
We've had some, losing Jody was tough, and we've had some staff challenges, and I know that I am not making this comment in any way to reflect on how appreciative I am of the folks who serve here at City Hall. But it just, you know, and maybe we're asking too much of them. Maybe we could have a separate Facebook page for, you know, for every committee, and give the chair administrative privileges and give, you know, the manager's assistant administrative privileges. You know, I mean, I trust the people who chair our committees. I don't think they're gonna go posting anything, you know. They're not gonna go sideways with face, and we could have, you know, a number of, so at least we could say we got them posted. And so if there's anything that we can do to streamline it, I'm not looking to create more work for anyone, but, you know, compliance is compliance.
Yeah, and Manager Charlotte Castro, do you think it's some type of committee evaluation?
Yeah, I was thinking along those lines. Actually, this is Carol can probably back me up, or this almost mirrors a conversation we had in the department head meeting last week. This is one of those things that's on my almost immediate next to do, to meet with the committee chairs and vice chairs. I've had a chance to meet with a couple of them just on an ad hoc basis if my schedule allowed to stop in for the meeting. But I think a full meeting with all the leadership of the committees, Councilor Lozon, one of the items on my agenda list was the compliance with the charges of being in a leadership position in those committees, and how we can't be chasing down minutes and agendas as we often are. So absolutely, that was an agenda item for me. With the chairs, the charges, Council Wozniacki was another one of those agenda items that we had, and I think in some instances it may be the case that the council needs to rethink what those charges are. Many of those committees have been functioning. I'm not sure vacuum is the right word, but maybe with outdated charges. And I think another perspective that has come across in my evaluation of the needs, the staffing needs, is we have a lot of committees that require staff attention, and so are we diluting the ability of city staff to be on top of what's happening at the committee? So I you know, consolidation maybe is not what some of the committees may want, but I think we need to seriously look at it, that there's some committees that have a lot of overlap. And so where is it appropriate for us to merge? I know the council's taken some actions to disband committees that are outdated, and that may be necessary too, but absolutely, I think this is on my whiteboard in the office as a coming agenda item. So and actually, you know, really mirror the thoughts that are coming at the staff level at the department meetings.
Thank you for that. And along those lines, you know, I've observed over the past, you know, 3 or 4 months that at times committees, it's almost like they think that the city staff people are their staff people. And at times the committees can tend to take up an inordinate amount of staff time when it's really not supposed to work that way. So if you could just include that absolutely in your briefing as well, and just, you know, give us your thoughts on that. If you think, hey, it's okay the way it is.
Carol, I think that was also on the list.
Yeah.
Yes, but I think we're seeing that.
Because, you know, I'm not unmindful of how hardworking and quite frankly, how stressed currently, you know, our staff is. And you know, we've just got to be supportive wherever we can. And if that means as a committee member, or as a counselor, I bother Carol all the time, but I really try to be respectful of your time, Mr. Manager, as you've offered to grab lunch or dinner or whatever. I'm like, no, I want you to settle in. I know you bring your own fire hose, and we'll have time for that. I just want to make sure that people are reminded to just, you know, be respectful of your time.
So I hear a discussion of the committee reset at some point, or
Mr. Mayor.
assessment or evaluation, and Bern Rose.
Hi. So I'm speaking as the chair of the ADA committee. I started being the chair about a year ago because we were being asked to do a lot more reporting, and I hadn't had any idea of what that was, and the chair was also on the city council and had other commitments. I found that as Manager McKenzie was leaving, we received huge amounts of information, huge amounts of requests as to how things should be presented. I think that when I came up to say that, I was feeling positive about that. Right now, I'm feeling like it's a them and us kind of thing. And I don't feel that our committee should be a them and us kind of thing. I think we're all working for the betterment of our community. And let's try to collaborate on that together. And there's a lot of technology. Councillor Booton made a comment to me. He sent me a note that he was watching the last meeting that I chaired and came in to use the council. So it was a hybrid meeting. And there were so many issues to deal with. Thank God Rick Taft came. It took us well over a half hour to set that meeting up. So considering, I mean, it wasn't about using up Rick's time, it was that the equipment wasn't working, so we don't have an IT person to take care of that. And until we're able to be really clear what we want from our committees and what is it that you're going to value? Tonight I heard a huge criticism of the Equity Diversity Committee. I can't comment on behaviors, but I can say that they were created for a specific purpose, and they did that purpose. And the city council at the time really disregarded the work that they spent 6 months doing. And as part of the ADA committee, we're constantly reaching out to the city about meeting certain requirements of the ADA. And today I got an email from one of the members saying, are they going to do anything about the bus stop across from North Berry Manor? And I can't tell you how many, that's been 3-4 years, that's remained a dangerous bus stop and inaccessible to the people who use it. So while you're thinking about what it is you want from us, think about, please, what you're willing to do when you hear from us, and take our recommendations under advisement as a really serious aspect, because we're not getting together for fun or to pat each other's backs. We're getting together because we care about the quality of life for people in Barrie. Thank you.
Very, very well put. Yeah.
Nicely done.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And when I look across the committee web pages, I have to give kudos to the Diversity and Equity Committee for having one of the most robust web pages on the city, and certainly there are opportunities to improve the infrastructure, meetings, just making sure that the room is open, making sure that the technology is ready and working. I took great pride as a municipal worker staffing the Conservation Commission, Development Review, Economic Development Committee, a select board of the planning commission, and knew that their policy making role and my role as a staff member. And so it's certainly not a one-way street. There's a give and take, and it's a collaboration. And I know there have been cases like the North Berry bus stop, like the TAC issues that come before the TAC committee, the advisory opinion over and over and over again. And it seems like nothing's happening. So we need to make the whole system work better. I think I'm really excited about this assessment that Nicholas is doing, and the conversation we're having, because I think everybody really wants to do their best and follow the law, and to get good work done for the city of Barrie and good quality of life. So thank you. That's a good.
Yeah, and I do want to mention again, you did a very good job dealing with that. I saw tonight, I don't know if you were paying attention tonight, it happened again to Councilor Wozniak, and he immediately got rid of the person.
15 seconds, man.
15 seconds.
I wasn't aware.
It was
I
about
was
how
learning.
That's how quick I was.
Yeah, and you guys got rid of those individuals very quickly as well. And
I'll get
It was
some
very
tips
good.
from you if you would please help me to know what to do.
I think you guys did it pretty quickly then too. Just saying, did a good job.
We were multi-bombed, and the first meeting that we had as a hybrid.
Yeah, and Rose, I apologize if you saw my comments as, us against them type of ultimatum. My issue is that I don't know what the committees are doing. I have always supported recommendations of committees, always. If you look back at my service historically. But again, my comment was one of simple compliance and making sure that all of our citizens know what the committees are doing. Because when a committee literally has no minutes for the last year
I
posted,
agree.
it's hard for me to support them because I don't know what they're doing.
Sharing information is really important.
Yeah, and the Diversity and Equity Committee, I guess I just want to warn people. It's not going to be confrontational next week. We have some discussions to have. I'd encourage people to watch the video of the meeting. But it's not about, for me, it's not going to be about being confrontational. It's going to be about, bringing people together and the importance of people with different opinions being able to work together. Because, how we got Main Street done, how we got City Place done, there was no friction on the rails. And when there's friction, all of a sudden your forward momentum will scream to a halt. And I see far too much of that in Barrie. I see far too much of that in Vermont, and I see far too much of that in the country. And if we're gonna keep moving our city forward, and we've got some really serious issues to deal with in the next 12 months, we've got to learn to work together. And I think you feel that way too. I hope you do.
Yes, and I'm not quite sure why you thought I was targeting you, but that's okay. Thank you for also wanting to offer collaboration. And feel free to call me Bernadette. Rose is my last name.
How about we give the last word to Councilor?
Sure, so people can go online. I'm trying to upload all the committee meetings to the Barrie City Community Fan Page YouTube page. And I know the Diversity and Equity Committee goes back 6 months, back to January. I think the traffic advisory is like that, and the planning commission goes back pretty far. I'm trying diligently to upload those so that they're out there for public consumption. And if anybody wants to look for it, they can just search Barrie City Community Fan Page on YouTube and it'll come up.
Thanks.
All right, so that takes us to item 11, roundtable. I'll start with our Ward 1 City Councilor, Mel Schobel. I might have caught you off guard, Mel. How about,
I pass.
Smart.
Councilor Lozon,
Fine, thank you.
Councilor Wasselak?
Okay.
I'm doing about word tonight.
I did go to, I was able to go to the 200th anniversary celebration for the Barrie Opera House. Councilor Lozon was there, Manager Sorella Castro was there, and it was my first opportunity to be in the space since the refurb. And it just looks awesome. I can't speak highly enough of just how phenomenal the space looks, how both new and fresh, and any arts professional would be perfectly at home in there. But it also it really well captures the history of the building. It feels both really new and really old at the same time. I think those are the coolest spaces.
Except it's not 200 years.
Not
Built in 1899.
I thought, did it
They
say
were
like-
calling it the 2nd century.
Oh, yeah, that, okay, yeah, okay, I attended that, is what I.
We'll get there.
Thank you, yes.
Second century. Make sure second. And with that, you pass? All right, Councilor Boone.
Yeah, so on Sunday, I did go down to the fire department. I went later on so that I could talk to the folks that were down there and see how the tribute went. They said they had some people come down and saw by the time I got there, the trucks were back in, and I don't know if they put the flag down yet.
Still a flag.
The ones in the fire department.
I'm not sure if those came down.
Yeah, if it isn't, I'm sure that they would let folks go in there. they're usually pretty good about letting people go in.
It was still up last night.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, and I thank you, Counselor Stockwell, for putting that, the write-up together. Appreciate that. It was good. That and onto a more funny comment. Last week, I was challenged to go to the MMA fighting up at the Civic Center. And I mean, my initial response was, no, thank you, please don't ask, I'm not interested. And as I walked into the building, I was not interested. But I took my Yeti chair, put it up into the balcony, and just figured I was just gonna sit there and wait until I can leave. And
Yeah.
so as I'm sitting there and the lights go down and the national anthem starts playing, and you can start to feel the excitement, and then you watch it, it was rather fun. And I'm generally not a person that likes fighting. I've gotten a little more vicious and vindictive in the last 2 years, but for the most part, I don't like it. I don't like confrontation, but that was very exciting and I highly recommend people go.
I will, if I could jump in, I literally went 6 months ago and I could not more accurately capture my feelings about it than what you just said. I was like, there's no way, but and I'm like, this is weirdly fun.
I know, that's what I was thinking. And yeah, you know, the person that was encouraging me to go was complaining about, you know, our facilities up there. And, you know, I mean, I know the facility quite well, you know, spending time there with Carol. I know the ins and outs and where to go to the bathroom, where you don't have to deal with people, and how to get into the secret places that you're not supposed to go. But that all said, you know, something that we should probably consider is maybe using some of that ARPA money to fix some of that problem up there. I mean, the bathrooms, I know that the public bathrooms up there are just terrible. I've heard it's just not good. So hopefully the money comes back from Washington to get the air conditioning areas. That certainly would be very beneficial, but highly recommend people go. And in general, you know, if there's an event up at the auditorium, it's always good to support local stuff. But, yeah, sorry. Long-winded.
Yeah, I was gonna say, not there the long way around.
I did. I was very surprised by my reaction.
I think you're just trying to tell us there's a new Michael in town.
Yeah.
Okay, noted.
Michael Leary.
All right.
Oh, Michael is.
I got a little less violence involved with my roundtable. So I've got kids kindergarten through 4th grade playing football for me for BYSA. We're going to be playing at Bond Field on Thursday evening at 6 o'clock. I encourage my fellow council to attend, as well as my fellow city, support the youth of our community. It's really important. I mean, the work that we're constantly doing to benefit our community is really on display on Thursday night at 6 o'clock. And then really come out for Spalding Saturday night at 6 o'clock. It's our homecoming game. I'm an assistant coach of the high school football program. And it's just really going to be a special evening. We're playing against Rice. Hope to have some fun and really just to show the work that these kids have been putting in. We had some numbers issues last week. We had to forfeit a game. We have some additional kids that have joined up. So we got some kids coming out tomorrow at 6 a.m. to practice so they can get extra practices in order so they can play as well. So we've got a lot of kids in our community doing some really good things, and I would just encourage you guys to support them. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Councilor Dean. Councilor Stockwell.
I went to see the quilt that Berry City had made at the fire station, and I thought it was really excellent and very moving. It was such a great effort, and to see it there was pretty moving. I pass.
And I'll, my my roundtable is first a special thanks to Cheryl and Sylvie for holding down City Hall. It was nice to see that updating that recognition. Well, there was some unplanned leave, sick time for everybody else, so it was nice to see people step up and carry an extra load for their coworkers and support each other. Also excited for, on the same day as homecoming, for the Chalk It Up event at Matheson Playground. I saw that Ellen Simard sent out a notice about that. It's 10:30 to noon at Matheson, so people can chalk up the playground on September 17th. And I know the Rivers Group for the All for Berry task force, river cleanup event, 9/24. I think more details will come, but it started with I hope for that. It's a class of things that counts for a nice trip. So it's good to be back. And as Carol said, Lisa and I are down to one house, which is a heck of a lot easier than two houses. And happily selling. And I think that's it. And that takes us to executive session, right? So we have an executive session for personnel. Is there a motion for findings?
Can I ask a question before a motion?
Yeah.
Without going into the detailed meeting in executive session, what is this executive session for?
I don't think.
Personnel.
It's personnel.
So moved for findings.
There's a motion by Councilor Lozon, second by Councilor Deering. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, you guys have it.
Nay.
Is there a motion to enter executive session at 8:16?
Move to go into executive session. The manager will be joining us. Did you want anyone else?
No, I mean, no.
Okay, and the manager will be joining us in executive session.
Motion by Councilor Lozon, second. Will we be expecting action? Does that answer your question, Dave?
No, personnel isn't a reason to go into executive session. There are several personnel related reasons to go into executive session. So if you could be a little more specific, that'd be great. And yeah, if you're expecting action, that'd be cool too.
This is, that's a good question. It relates to the appointment or employment or evaluation of a public officer or employee, provided that the public body shall make any final decision to hire or appoint a public officer or employee in an open meeting and shall explain the reason for its final decision during an open meeting.
Did I miss an email? I must have missed an email.
I
I feel like.
That's what I'm saying.
Can you
That's what I'm
say
saying.
What he
no?
said, I'll renew my motion.
Was the Councilor Wozniak saying no? And I don't know what's going on now.
I'm saying no because I don't know why we're going into executive session. And so I'm not comfortable voting.
Can we, at least the position that we're talking about? Like, who knows?
I know. I'm just gonna update the council about interim leadership at the fire department.
Oh, okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Sorry about that. Sorry for the confusion. Yeah, all right. So we have a motion by Councilor Lozon.
Second.
There's a second by Councilor Deering to go into executive session now at 8:17. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
You're gonna use the bathroom.
Thank you.
Had I known, I would have saved it. Okay. All right, I've set up the breakout room.
Okay, now.
I think the confusion might have been, we usually get an email about executive sessions and it's probably some.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, normally you're just gonna have to like right, we're back. Make the motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Wazza, second by Counselor Neering. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Counselor Stockwell,
Second.
second by Counselor Wazza. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. We are adjourned.
There was no action, Dave.
Thanks, yeah, I appreciate you telling me.
You're saying. Good night, Mel.